Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, the scheme is supposed to replace free school meals by giving poorer pupils in England food vouchers worth £15 a week during the lockdown. More than 1 million youngsters are eligible for the vouchers, but our exclusive survey carried out with the Head Teachers Union, the NAHT, shows that the system has been failing, forcing schools to rely on food banks and charity to feed the most vulnerable. Snack time, but it's not just the children who have food on their minds. Burnwood Community School in Stoke, as elsewhere across the country, is only open to the children of key workers or those considered vulnerable. But making sure hundreds of their pupils who are not in school enough to eat has become an all-consuming task. The government moved really quickly to introduce the voucher scheme. The problem is schools up and down the country say it simply isn't working, leaving teachers spending huge amounts of time and, crucially, money to make sure their vulnerable children are being fed.
And so we've got a group of
46% of the pupils here are on free school meals and so qualify for the government scheme run by the company Edenred. So when it didn't work, the consequences were enormous.
For myself, I've probably spent the majority of every day on the voucher scheme. So I have been up at 7 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at 12 o'clock at night, trying to get these vouchers to be to work and to be activated, ready for families. So it's been a constant thing for the last 4 weeks.
And the technical frustrations are having a very real impact on the families.
It's a brilliant idea. The idea behind getting a voucher, a monetary voucher to somebody so that they can provide for their families is great. But to launch something and not have the infrastructure to be able to deliver it, that creates the frustration. And really it's been for schools to really be left to manage that.
In an exclusive SNAP survey by Channel 4 News and the National Association of Head Teachers, of the 932 school business leaders from across England who responded, 96% said they had experienced problems with the government scheme. 86% said parents had struggled to access the vouchers. 83% said they were concerned about the welfare of pupils who are yet to receive them. And more than half said they had to make other provisions for families because of problems with the scheme.
Have we got new children going on to this list?
Hundreds of miles away, staff at Malmesbury Primary School in Morden are battling with similar problems.
Each voucher had a 16-digit code which had to then be re-entered into the computer to access the voucher. We had 170 of these codes to input, and then all the codes failed and were invalid. We could not get on to the website was freezing, there was nobody to phone, and they weren't answering our emails.
Eventually, he said, with desperate parents on the phone almost constantly, he had no choice but to take radical action.
I had to go direct to the supermarkets. My deputy head initially put £5,000 onto our own credit card because the supermarket wouldn't take a school debit card. And over the current 2 weeks, we've just had another lot of vouchers delivered, and I had to put the £5,000 on my credit card, and we'll have to get that transferred back in from school funds at some point.
You're still anticipating either putting down a school credit card or your own credit card?
We are, yeah. There's no other way around it at the moment. I don't know what else to do. What I can't have are 170 of our children going hungry.
Back in Stoke, the lockdown has exacerbated fears of exactly that, vulnerable children going hungry. It's one of the most deprived areas in the country, and schools provide a safety net.
Macaroni cheese, spaghetti bolognese.
So now this community hub is helping fill in the gaps left by problems with the vouchers. Our survey shows it's a move being replicated across the country. Schools teaming up with food banks or the Salvation Army, hand-delivering emergency food.
We're being contacted by families who haven't received the vouchers or not quite sure what to do with them, even how to get them. Again, there's an awful lot out there about, you know, the parents who are doing super at homeschooling and everything that's going right for them, and I don't think there's as much being said about everything that's going wrong. You know, even with the voucher system, we found that lots of parents aren't aware that they should be getting vouchers, so they don't know they haven't got their vouchers because they weren't expecting them in the first place.
A short drive away, and for Claire and her family, a food parcel is a godsend. Lockdown is a strain on many fronts. She has 3 children at different schools. Her daughter's vouchers have come through, but there have been problems with both her sons. Are you looking forward to when it's all over?
Yeah. I'm going to stay outside all day, I am. Just play. You have to stay inside mostly. That's the boring part. And sometimes you can't even walk that much because you can't walk that far.
It's been really difficult, and then we've got the kids at home, and keeping them entertained and teaching them as well with schoolwork and things. It can be quite difficult. Yeah, it was really.
She has 3 children at different schools. Her daughter's vouchers have come, but there have been problems with both her sons.
My food budget has doubled, if not 3 times the amount of what it usually would be. There was no way that I'd usually spend the amount that I'm spending. So the parcels that we get, they do really help, and the meals that come twice a week, they help out with dinners and things.
Eden Red and the government acknowledge that there have been problems, but say £47 million worth of vouchers have now been delivered to families. And from now on, it should be easier for everyone to access the vouchers. Well, earlier I spoke to Vicki Ford, who is the Minister for Children and Families. I put it to her that the free school meals voucher system may have been a good idea, but that it just hasn't worked well enough.
Well, getting free school meals out to the children who normally get them has always been a priority right from day one. Our guidance to schools has been clear from the very beginning. They should try and use their own local solutions first. We would reimburse them for the cost of those local systems, but we understood that there would be some schools that would be challenged by that, which is why we also set up the National Voucher Scheme. As of this morning, £47 million worth of vouchers have been redeemed by parents. That is millions of families getting these vouchers now, and it has had unprecedented demand on it. The system has been improved and upgraded over the weekend again. So this morning, the experience that schools will have had will have been considerably improved. Monday morning is always the busiest.
Hold on a moment, Vicki Ford,
Sorry?
if you would. Hold on just 1 second, if you would. You say the system has been improved. We have heard from head teachers and school business leaders who are telling us they are setting their alarm for 2 a.m. to log on to this system. When they get logged onto the system, they are told they are 300,000 in the queue. They are working at incredibly odd hours, day and night, to try and get this system to work. And for so many of them, it is simply not working.
And that has not been good enough, which is why I asked the company, I told the company absolutely that the system needed to be improved. It was upgraded over the weekend again. And so this morning, schools were waiting between 30 and 45 minutes. This afternoon, they've been waiting less than 10 minutes. In addition, I've asked the company to bring in outside experts for both improving the website further and improving their customer service department, and they are doing both of those actions.
Okay, I am sorry to interrupt you all the time, but I want to repeat myself just because of the extraordinarily vulnerable nature of the families and the children involved. One of the extraordinary things that has come out of our survey is exactly how schools have had to put together a patchwork of help, whether that's asking for help from food banks, begging help from the Salvation Army, hand delivering food parcels themselves, paying out of their own pocket. I just wonder, are you comfortable that that is our best way of ensuring that vulnerable children in this country are being fed?
It is absolutely vital that vulnerable children in this family, in this country, are fed.
But should it be left to a patchwork of charities,
first of
food
all,
banks?
No. First of all, no school has to pay for this from their own budget. We have always said we will reimburse schools. We have always said that the best practice for schools is actually to deliver those food packages themselves, so that they also have eyes on their most vulnerable children. No system has ever been set up like this before, because we've never seen an unprecedented time like this before.
Vicki Ford, thank you very much for talking to us this evening. Well, Sara Hewitt Clarkson, the head teacher for a primary school in Spark Hill in Birmingham, joins me now. Sara Hewitt Clarkson, I think you were able to hear what the Minister was saying just now. She says the system has been much improved. Is that your view?
It's been improved slightly over the last few days, but we're into week 7 now of school closures, and it's just taken far too long. And I agree with absolutely everything I've heard so far. The hours and hours and hours of staff time. My school business manager today described the whole situation as utter agony, and that's what it's been for every head teacher and every school business manager that I've spoken to. Utter agony. It's just not good enough.
And of course, the frustration of your staff is nothing, presumably, to the impact on families.
Absolutely. So for every hours we've spent on the DfE website trying to upload our data, parents have then spent equally the same amount of time trying to wait in the waiting room. It puts them in the waiting room. I think today a dad phoned up and said he was an hour and a half. He was told it was an hour and a half wait to try his code. The codes are working a little bit better now, but in the first week, none of our 178 codes worked. And so that meant parents were phoning the school saying it says our code is invalid. And we were saying, no, just keep trying. They are the right codes, they're the only ones we've got. Keep trying. And actually we were saying incorrect things to our parents because they were incorrect codes. So we've had to apply for all of week 1's codes again. And every single time, it's hours and hours and hours at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, as previous heads and business managers have said.
I mean, the Minister said that it's been quite clear from the beginning that the guidance to schools should be that you should be looking for local solutions, and then if you didn't have those local solutions, then you use this voucher scheme. Was that your understanding?
Well, I was quite surprised that she said that. She said the best solution is for us to hand deliver parcels of food to school, to parents. That's absolutely not what we've understood at all. I think we all tried it. We did it at our school the first week. We made packed lunches and we asked the parents to come to school to collect them. That didn't work that well because that seemed to be contrary to the advice from the government, which is stay at home, which we agree with. Then on the 3rd day, we tried delivering packed lunches to parents. A group of 7 staff volunteered for that. That took hours and hours and hours, and some people weren't in, or that was a disaster. So then we opted for a Birmingham scheme first, which worked very well before the DfE had got their scheme going. So we did a Birmingham scheme for 2 weeks, and then that stopped because the DfE scheme started, which we thought, okay, great, this is going to be very simple. And it's been the opposite of very simple. We've had angry, upset parents, understandably. Almost everything we've said to parents throughout, we communicate with them at least daily on this, has actually not been true. We said you'll get your vouchers by Friday. That wasn't true. It's a very quick process to get on the website. That wasn't true.
The Department for Education and Edenred would say, they would acknowledge that there have been problems, but this was a scheme set up at real speed. Do you have any sympathy at all for the government, for the company?
Well, I would have done, I think, if they'd got the problem sorted out within a week. But as I said, this is probably at least 5 or 6 weeks into the scheme. And there is no accountability. There's a helpline and there's an email address, which none of the heads I've spoken to have had any reply or have ever had the phone picked up on the helpline. It's not good enough.
And just very, very briefly, I mean, how worried are you for your families? Are you able to continue to make sure that those children are being fed?
Yes, in a variety of ways. We've spent about £1,000 on the gift cards from various supermarkets just to help out where either vouchers haven't worked, they've got to the supermarket and they've been told there's a nil balance on them. We've also emptied our freezers and our cupboards in our school kitchen and bagged up all of that and delivered that to families, kind of 3 or 4 days worth of food. So, and we're going to food banks as well. So I am worried, very worried.
Sara Hewitt Clarkson, thanks very much for talking to us today. Thank you.